Welcome to our weekly Christ in Our Neighborhood conversation where Joyce and I break open Sunday's Gospel with Bishop John. Everything you need to do this with family and friends is on the Diocese of Phoenix website in the Christ in Our Neighborhood section. And with that, welcome back, Bishop.
It's always great to see the two of you. You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you, Bishop. Well, this week we'll be hearing from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2, verses 22 to 40. So, Bishop, would you like to start us off with reading the reflection?
Of course. The Church rightfully moved the title of this feast day from the purification to the presentation of the Lord, because the Gospel from Luke clearly states the expectation of the law of Moses regarding the firstborn male child. Every male that opens a womb shall be consecrated to the Lord.
If the baby was her firstborn male child, the infant was brought along to the temple to be dedicated to the Lord. The law in Exodus specifies that the first male child belongs to God. See chapter 13, verses 2 to 16.
Later, we will find that Jesus does not allow animals to replace or represent himself as the firstborn male. While animals would be sacrificed on behalf of the child, Jesus himself will enter the temple once again, even turning over tables which sold doves and pigeons, to offer himself as the sacrifice once and for all.
It is for this reason that our gospel today goes to great lengths to show how Simeon the high priest recognized Jesus as the Christ child, and holding Jesus exclaimed this hymn of thanksgiving, "Now, Master, you may let your servant go in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared in the sight of all the peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles, and glory for your people Israel."
All right, so Bishop, what is this week's question for us?
Well, how have your own eyes seen God's salvation? I think in truth that is part of the conversion process that takes place every day. And in my life, I had those little aha moments. In the church, we have a saying in Latin, lexio credende, or lex credende, lex orandi, lex credende. And the idea, of course, is that the law of worship and the law of the creed, the law of our belief, go hand in hand, but one feeds the other, and it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. You don't know which one is going to come first. But imagine yourself when you're at church and you're celebrating Mass, or you're participating in Mass, and something hits you and you have that aha moment. That's when your eyes are opened. And then after going to your knees, then you want to kind of delve into that. And that creates even more aha moments that brings you more deeper into prayer. So it's this law of worship and the law of belief kind of feed off of each other. And as they do so, the eyes continue to be open, and you see that this light of Christ just illumines our hearts and our minds and our souls. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, and I echo that, Bishop. I've had some aha moments over the years, and I think understanding God's unconditional love was just mind-blowing for me. But I would also say lots of baptisms. I've seen lots of baptisms through the years, right? And so we're being brought into God's kingdom. But I've also seen people healed and relationships restored. I think particularly of two loved ones who really struggled with addiction. And until they had fully surrendered their hearts to God, they weren't willing to make the change and to ask for help. And so, yes, you still need a program. You're still going to need help. But that surrender of your heart to God, God can really do something with that. You can be delivered of sin, which is slavery, right? Addiction is essentially a slavery. It's an illness, but it's also a slavery. And so God wants us to live in freedom. So I've seen that happen in the lives of loved ones, just because addiction can be so destructive. And so, yes, people need to be held accountable. They're going to need help, but God's part of the mix, right? And so surrendering our hearts to God, that's the salvation of God at work in someone's heart when it's fully surrendered. So that's how I've witnessed it.
I love that. That's great.
Much like you, for me, it's transformed lives. Mm-hmm. In my own life, I think of what I was like, or who I was, or how I was living before my reversion back to the faith. I look at people that I know, friends who have been on different journeys, and I've seen their lives transformed by the Lord. And that to me is that it's an external indication of God's salvation. And working also in communications is such a privilege. So over the 22 years that I've been working in communications, I have seen story after story after story of the bonds of sin being broken, of people being rescued, redeemed, healed from addiction, from all kinds of things. I've seen marriages that were just in shambles be completely restored, and seen those marriages strong and ministering together so much. And so, I mean, how can you not believe in the salvific work of the Lord when you can see it right in front of you, and lives completely changed, redeemed, restored? Yeah.
That's a perfect answer. That's a perfect answer, Jen.
Very true. Wonderful. One of the beautiful things of Catholic communications, and, getting to showcase those stories. So, Bishop, what is our task for this week?
Well, try to find 5 to 10 ways in which Jesus is like us in all things but sin. Reading through the Gospel of Luke might give you a head start as you see that he walked like us and he conversed like us. Then consider praying or singing a hymn that's on your paper there, on your PDF that you can download at Christ in Our Neighborhood by Merle Haggard. And it was "And He Walks With Me." So
you're not going to sing it for us?
And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. Yada yada.
I love that.
Okay.
I love that song. Thank you, Bishop.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
For more information on Christ in Our Neighborhood and resources to start your own group, visit the Christ in Our Neighborhood section at the Diocese of Phoenix website.